This is Anaya,
This is Kiara.
and this is the Econ rumination week 7. For question 1,
For those wanting to live a more minimalistic lifestyle, we definitely could see the appeal of it, such as like us valuing quality over quantity. And we see that like in things that we deem as like unnecessary. So we don't need like 100 pairs of clothes, 100 pairs of sneakers. We don't need like 5 fridges. We don't need 3 ACs when like one can do the job. And then we just keep everything else that is like valuable to us. And that's really like how you would benefit from minimalism. You're really trying to cut down on like unnecessary things and appreciating more of like what's important to you.
the hardest part of those types of lifestyles is that when we place too much value on the stuff, it makes it harder for us to let go of it. So if we place too much value on certain things,
Like jewelry.
and stuff like that, it'll then eventually, if we ever get to a point where we have to let it go, it just will make it harder. And that's kind of what, makes us not be able to. We create an emotional bond with those certain things because we have that connection with it, making it harder for us to let it go.
Yeah, or some.
The role that wealth plays in our interests with adhering to a minimalist lifestyle is that when we spend less on unnecessary things, we'll have a better opportunity to consolidate our wealth. So, for example, understanding the value of $1. If you know that $1 costs 100 cents and that can like buy you a certain amount of things, you'll then be very mindful in how you spend your money to consolidate and save your money because you place so much value on that particular thing. And also to add on, that also leads to the next question about how we can make an argument into what would make, like, how we could be richer if we pursue a minimalist lifestyle. Because once again, if we do have $1 and we understand its value, we then would save that money. That would necessarily make us kind of richer because we save that money. This is question 2.
Minimalism doesn't account for, or when we talk about minimalism, we don't really think about like family, friends, and like hygiene. And that's kind of because like those are things that are like essential in our lives, and then we wouldn't want to like take things out of there. Especially if we're taking like minimalism to an extreme where it was like, oh, you must like cut down on everything. Well, you really shouldn't, because these are things that, again, like they're really valuable in our lives, and without it, we essentially don't benefit at all from like taking away like showers every day or talking to people every day. Because if we do, then the result is like we basically harm ourselves in a way, just because humans need to to have good hygiene. Humans need to always have like communication with people.
For the question about if minimalism, what it will mean if we, in terms of behaviors and services that it would imply that we can and should do without. If we take minimalism literal, then that would mean that we'll cut down certain things like when you're at a restaurant, we'll cut down certain things in the menu, or we'll just have 2 meals instead of 20 other options to accommodate for people, because the main goal is for people to be satisfied with their food. If we would take minimalism to an extreme, then it would apply to us using minimalism in every single aspect of our lives, to like the environment, where we cut down a certain amount of trees which we need for oxygen and resources. Then certain species like oysters, which are really important for the ecosystem because they maintain it and make sure that it's okay, and they're keystone species. So if we were to cut that down as well, then that kind of would lead us into a not good place, which is why we would not want this to happen.
Yeah, and for the next question, we would not like this, which basically we will explain in the next part, like of the question, where we're asked if everybody suddenly like became minimalist. So this wouldn't be a good thing in our opinion because, let's say going back to what we mentioned before about like humans always needing like communication. Well, humans, like as we know, are social creatures, and it's a part of us, and that's what like helps us function. And this is like something like psychological, and that's like that's like taking away experiences of like going to an art museum and then expecting to find like all this history and being able to connect with a lot of like art historians, and then you just find like the Mona Lisa. Like you're not getting everything that you potentially like wanted to find going there, so then you're basically getting less from that experience, as opposed to if you had an abundance of like all these different things to learn about, then yeah, obviously like minimalism wouldn't be a good thing here. Or do you want to talk about like the college example we talked about?
Yeah. To add on, humans need like a certain because they're social creatures. They need like the experience of like seeing abundance of different types of people in their life instead of just one or two people that they meet. So like with the college experience where you meet different people that you'll be friends with for years on end. If we minimalize that to where it's like, oh yeah, you can only meet this one person and that's it. And although they might be a quality person, you might find different types of friends that are different from that one quality person in that certain aspects that makes them, I guess, valuable to you in a sense. So that's why the whole point of minimalism will kind of affect the experience in humans that kind of that kind of align with why we're social creatures. This is for question 3. Uh, Personally, whether we would have thought about engaging in a minimalist lifestyle. I mean, yeah. Personally, yes. There are certain things in my life where I didn't need a lot of, and I just really cared about like the quality of the things instead of having an abundance of it, because it can eventually become uh, overwhelming.
Yeah, same. I would totally engage in it. For the same reason that there are a lot of things that we just don't need, and I could simply like cut down on it. Maybe not to an extreme, but yeah, it seems like it has its pros in my life.
Mm-hmm. For the next question about have we encountered minimalistic conversations, uh, yeah, I have. Uh, for example, with my mom would always tell me, like, especially if I'm using like lotion or if I'm using hair products, like wash myself and stuff like that. Not hair products, wash. You get the point. I pretty much, my mom would always tell me a little goes a long way, meaning that you don't need to use a lot of lotion. You just need enough to where you can just rub it with your hands enough to spread on your body.
Same for me. Like you, I remember a lot of the times, like when I would go food shopping with my mom, she would always say like, "Oh, don't like put everything in the cart. Like, only pick things that you know you're gonna eat, because if else, like you get all this stuff and like we get it, we bring it home, and then it's like it's just sitting there." Because I tend to like eat with my eyes, quote unquote. So like anything that looks good, I'll just pick it. Um, and yeah, it's sort of like, cutting down on stuff. That's sort of like the minimalistic conversations that I've had with my mom. And as for the next question, where would we would minimalism require for us to cut down on these sort of experiences like traveling less or getting our hair cut less? Our answer is no, because that takes away from like an experience. That's just what it is. Like traveling is for fun. Traveling, if you cut down on that, that takes away from you like learning culture. Yes, you'll have to pay for it, but it takes away from something valuable that you'll learn. And getting a haircut is like a hygienic, so you probably wouldn't want to like skip on a haircut once in a while. Yeah.